again a politically influenced uh, case where the daughter of a politician was in love with Nitish Katara, and this was the case of honor killing because it was a love marriage, because the parents were not very happy with the marriage. The husband was killed, and the disease was very difficult to detect. The identification was very difficult to detect, and only unburnt palm with some fingers were available. So, here also, forensic science DNA profile help to identify the victim and link it and say that the victim is dead. Why it is very important to declare someone dead? Can anybody answer? Is it important to declare someone dead? It is very important, both emotionally as well as legally. We require to give it a closure. Closure to the relatives that the person is no more. Closure to all the economical attributes which are linked with that person, so that those economical attributes can be transferred to other individuals in the house. So it is very important. And how we can do it? We can do it only with the help of technology through forensics, where we can utilize so much of the things. But one thing is, we need to collect the evidences and we need to preserve them until or unless the examination is done. Now, as we are proceeding, the population of India has exceeded China as well. So you can imagine the number of pedencies we are having in forensic science laboratories or in the criminal courtrooms. We require a longer gap for preservation of the evidence also. We require advanced technological measurements in order to preserve the evidence for a much longer period of time, so that we can recover the genetic profile, DNA profile, or other attributes related to it. For that, we require trained professionals. Now, police is being trained in not only in medical sciences. They are not trained in medical sciences. A simple graduate can apply for jobs in police forces. But we as medical community, as nurses, we are knowing what is the importance of biological evidences, how to preserve the blood, how to preserve the viscera, how to preserve the organs in order to detect poison, in order to detect drug overdose, in order to get the genetic profile done. So that is why we are emphasizing on this very new science which is evolving, forensic nursing. And being nurses, you are able to provide medical assistance, and we are asking you to help us to collect the evidences also. So, as a forensic scientist, we can take the lead and provide evidences with particular identification so that the criminal justice system delivers justice. There are various laws in India which are protecting the females, males, our society. So many laws are there. We all know Section 498A, what it says, that physical and emotional harm caused to a married woman by a husband or in-laws in any such offense, imprisonment of more than 3 years, at least 3 years will be given, or more it could be, depending upon the crime which has been committed, the physical abuse has been committed, and there are heavy fines also. Now, sometimes these laws are used and sometimes these laws are abused also. Section 94 of Indian Penal Code suggests if person does an obscene act in public, recite, utter obscene words to annoy or torture another person, then also that person can be imprisoned for 3 years. It is the case of verbal violence. Section 300B of IPC, married lady dies within 7 years of marriage, then it could be attributed to dowry death and the in-laws can be punished. Section 509 IPC established to punish any person who demeans the virtue of any woman intentionally by any physical or verbal conduct. The person will be liable for imprisonment up to 3 years. Next. Now, what we can do as forensic nurses, how we can help. All these attributes of physical violence will come to hospitals for their first aid. Is it so? Then only when the doctor calls the police, a medical legal case is filed. It is the duty of the doctor to report to the police that this type of case has come and we need to make it medical legal and police involvement is required. Being forensic nurses, if you don't know anything, the first thing you can do is capture the photographs. A picture is worth 1,000 words. If an accident case is there, suicide case is there, trauma case is there, physical violence case is there, you don't know about the science, but you all are having cameras, you can click pictures. It will help the forensic scientist. You even can't imagine how much. You just see these pictures. The first picture here is showcasing hesitation marks. The person is trying to commit suicide. Now we can say that the person is going through some psychological challenges in the life. He requires counseling if the life is saved, and these are the hesitation marks. He is trying to kill himself. Second thing, these abrasions could be due to accident or could be self-inflicted or inflicted by someone else. But if we are not having the photograph, after few weeks they will be gone and there will be no evidence of such peculiarities existing. Here, frictional marks are there on the body due to accident. A photograph taken from the angle suggesting how the body might have been impacted. Again, the burn marks are here and these are suggesting that certain accident, intentional or unintentional is another matter, but something has happened and it can only be done in the hospital when they are coming for first aid. The woman is having red eye, bruises, purple colored bruises, contusions. All these are suggesting certain type of physical struggle the lady has gone through. And this is enough evidence to showcase that she has experienced something unnatural. Isn't so? Here we are having tire mark. See how beautifully it has been captured. This is a tire mark. Now in forensics we are having the capability of identifying a vehicle from the tire marks, the pattern of the tire marks. We only require standards. We can tell which company, which make and model this tire belongs to. By mere looking at these, a scientist can tell what the vehicle might be looking like. So this sort of photograph is so important. Next slide. The bite marks on the neck of the girl suggesting sexual abuse, physical abuse, and these bite marks are also having identification aspects. There is a separate science of forensic odontology which deals with identification of the individuals from their teeth, and these bite marks are as unique as fingerprints. The child is going through abuse, so many marks are there on the body. How to prove it in the courtroom that the child requires foster care or the child need to be recovered from the present parents by utilizing these photographs. Injury marks, struggle marks there on the body which can be captured. Now, if the person is being strangulated, गला दबाया है या फांसी पे लटकाया है, कैसे पता चलेगा? Now, if you have taken the photograph of the victim, if the mark is diagonal and is moving upwards, then it is a case of hanging. अगर गला दबाया गया है, mostly the strangulation is having a horizontal mark, and even from the mark we can decipher which material is being utilized for strangulation, and if that material is recovered, then also we can identify the suspect. Now, knowledge is power. Photography is good. Most of the photographs I have shown you were normal. Now here you can see the child being photographed, black and white photo, no marks are visible. But with UV photograph, certain injuries are now visible. So these injuries are suggesting certain violence which is being experienced by the child, and he required protection. So ultraviolet, how we will know that this exists? By getting information, by getting experience, and by attending various educational reforms which are being introduced into your syllabus regarding forensics. So here another term which I am going to introduce you to is wound ballistics. Whenever a firearm is fired, bullet is fired, it enters the body through entry hole and exits through exit hole. Now this entry and exit wound can tell us so much. Gunshot wound entrance. Here is black charcoal like lining available. It can tell me where the gun was pointed, whether it was near to the body or what was the range of the fire, whether it was far enough or whether it was close enough. If there is lining like this, very close to the wound, it suggests that it is contact wound. The gun was just near the body and the fire was shot. That is why the hole is so small and all the blackening is there on the skin. But if there the range was intermediate, this type of tattooing will be there. It suggests that the firearm was placed at a distance, and when it was fired, the particles got scattered, and this is how the scattering looks like. Another close range, here you can see very close, the blackening is there and not much scatter is available. That means the powder was not having the GSR, gunshot residue, was not having enough space to get scattered. How I am getting the idea, how I am getting the idea of close range, long range, intermediate range? I am using not at all any technological advancement. Just a simple photograph which is being taken by the medical staff before providing medical assistance. Right? Now suppose before capturing this, the whole area was washed, wiped, then there is so much less possibility that we could have deciphered the range of the firearm. Right? So a simple photograph can tell 1,000 words. So as a nurse, our role is for victim assessment to provide the medical care, psychological care if required, as the victim is going through post-traumatic stress disorder at that particular period of time when the person has gone through a traumatic experience, and they require counseling also, information also, that why the evidences are being collected, how to give the evidences, what will be the implications, documentation of all the evidences, and lastly, evidence collection, packaging, preservation, and sending them to the forensic science laboratories by maintaining the chain of custody. There are different types of evidences which we can collect. First is testimonial evidence. You are talking with the patient, you are trying to console the patient, providing passionate care, and simultaneously you are asking questions about crime and taking the first impression. As the time will fade, the memory will vanish, and he will not be providing accurate testimony. So this has to be taken as soon as possible. Secondly, the physical evidences, which includes all the objects, biological, physical, each and every type of attribute that we can collect and use for courtroom trial. So when we are dealing with physical evidences, suppose you have recovered a bullet from the body, first we need to document. Document means we need to photograph the bullet. Secondly, we need to collect it. Thirdly, we need to, not required in the case of bullet, but if you are collecting blood, semen sample, saliva sample, then you need to preserve it also with the help of FDA cards. This is a modified papers which are having certain chemicals onto it. The technology is trademarked, and these papers are utilized for preserving the evidence, and we can preserve them for 2 years, 3 years. Only a simple card is there, and you have to put the drop of biological fluid into it, and it will be preserved. And we can directly do DNA profiling from that card also. Another brutal case which happened in Delhi, where a 4-year-old was sexually abused. The child testimony was taken and various methodologies was involved in investigation. And lastly, the accused was held guilty